Hi everyone.
Hi everyone. In the last video, we implemented the location qubit and wrapped up our business logic implementation part. I think now we can start integrating our business logic to the UI. So when we are implementing the UI, Aytunç, what do you think makes more sense to start with?
Erkan, there are a couple of options, and I can think of starting with the button which will request the permissions and creating the dialog UI. That's one option. And the second option is starting with the actual map without any logic. So just displaying the map. I think seeing the map in the simulator is a better choice. It will be more colorful, and then we can build on top of it and create dialogues and buttons. I think we can start with the map. What do you think?
I actually agree. I mean, we are building a map app. Let's just build the map on the screen as soon as possible, then build on top of it. So, if we are building a map application, we are choosing a map package. What are our options? Uh, what should we
Let's
use?
let's go to pub.dev, and let's look at a couple of options that we have. We have many options, but I think Flutter Map and Google Maps Flutter are the go-to choices. Other than these two, we have the Mapbox official plugin, and there is one more popular package which I never used. There's the OpenStreetMaps also. But let's compare Flutter Map and Google Maps Flutter. Flutter Map
Just
has,
before you start,
yeah,
just before you start, my gut says that like Google has an official package. My gut says that we should be using that because Flutter is made by Google and Google has a package. Why do I think we should be using that?
yeah. Why
What
are
are
we
your
looking
opinions?
at third-party
Yeah,
packages, right? Yeah, this is done by Flutter.dev. I mean, it's not a bad package or plugin or anything, but in terms of the functionalities that it gives, the feature set, it's way behind Flutter Map. Flutter Map is a leaflet implementation, and before the stream started, I looked at just some open issues on Google Maps Flutter. So let's look at them a little bit. For instance, they said, can we add directions to the Maps plugin? So this is about adding routing or directions. And this was opened in 2019. And just last month, someone says that we have a Google Navigation Flutter plugin, which is experimental. And so they are building new features, which is really good for the community, but it's not there. So this is still an open issue. What else? I think this is the most important one, Erkan, to answer your question. In a map, let's look at this screenshot. We would like to display custom markers, custom pins. And one strength of Flutter is being able to create widgets, custom widgets. And if we cannot use it on a map, then I don't think it's very useful. And unfortunately, still, this issue was opened in 2018. So it has been 6 years, it's going to be 7 years. And we still don't have support for custom widgets to be used as map markers, map pins. We are still using bitmap images. Let's see the last comments. On July 4th, someone, actually Jaffa Ketchup, who is one of the maintainers of Flutter Map, says that we have this functionality in Flutter Map plugin, but not but, and recently you are able to use Google Maps as a maps provider in Flutter Map. So that's a suggestion. Still, we don't have this. Let's look at another issue, which is very important for anyone doing an app with maps, regarding maps, and it's for clustering. Clustering is basically when you have like hundreds or thousands of markers in the screen, and just imagine that the user just zooms out the map to the minimum zoom. So all your markers will be like crammed on top of each other. What clustering does is, when it sees multiple pins are close to each other, it just groups them. And this is what they have asked. Unfortunately, we still don't have it. No, not really. Very recently, they had a clustering, but unfortunately, we cannot give custom widgets for clusters or even custom bitmap icons. So it's still a work in progress, as I understand. I'm just looking at the issues, so I might be wrong in some of these. So if you can write in the comments and if you can correct us, we will be glad. And lastly, we cannot use network images for our pins. So we have to have them in our app, or maybe there are some workarounds. Unfortunately, we still don't have it. All of these issues that I talked about can be done very easily with Flutter Map. So let's look at Flutter Maps documentation, and they have a documentation website. In there, it just shows us how to very easily present a map in a Flutter Map, Flutter app. And let's look at some of the layers. Some of the layers are, of course, the tile layer, which shows the actual map tiles, and markers, which I have been talking about pins. You have polygon layers. You can have different polygons on the map. You can have polylines, just different lines. If you are going to show a direction or something like that, just like an Uber app. Circle layers, overlay image layers. You can put images on top of the map, which moves depending on the map. And most importantly, we have plugins of this plugin. So let's look at the plugins list. We have Flutter Map animations, OSRM, the OpenStreetMaps. So if you don't want to use Google Places API, you can use OpenStreetMaps, and you can get places from there. Vector map tiles, which is really good because there are two types of tiles, raster images or vector maps. And we have a plugin which can render vector map tiles. What else? We have a poly widget. Okay. We have heat map plugin. Okay, very important. Offline mapping. Let's say you are building an app, and as a developer, you don't want to spend too much money on a maps provider, and you just want to cache the tiles that your users already downloaded and presented. So it's possible with Flutter Map tile caching by Jaffa Ketchup, who's also the maintainer of one of the maintainers of Flutter Map. And we have some plugins about markers. And we have clustering, fast clustering, normal clustering with animations. In the upcoming videos, we will show you most of these plugins, by the way, so stay tuned. I'm not going to go over all of them. Oh, for instance, we have Flutter Map line editor. Let's look how it is. By the way, this is by IB Riley, and he's another maintainer of Flutter Map package. And as you can see, on the map, you can just create any polyline with middle points and so on. You can draw something on the map. So this is really cool, and none of these things are out of the box things with Google Maps Flutter. So Arkan, are you convinced that we should use Flutter Map instead of Google Maps
I mean,
Flutter?
you gave me a lot of reasons to pick Flutter Map over Google Maps Flutter. It's actually crazy that Google Maps is still lacking those features because I remember us building Sponty, an app that was using a map feature, and when we were building that app, we were still looking for a provider, and we were in the same dilemma. And uh, Google Maps was still lacking the same functionality. Uh, like years passed, but they are still lacking those functionality. That's crazy. I don't know if there's a technical limitation that they cannot do that, but I just don't understand.
I think
But I'm convinced now.
no, most of these features are present in their uh, native iOS and Android uh, SDKs. So I think it's just a matter of resources. And Google, just like any other big tech company, is putting all their resources on AI. So I think that's why, because I don't think there's any technical limitation. And talking about
I don't know.
our app Sponty, the map provider we were using was Mapbox. I remember that. And we used Flutter Map along with Mapbox. One of the reasons we used Mapbox was because it was giving us a way to customize the map according to our app's theming. And now Google has this functionality as well. And also there is another. Let me go to my browser. There is also
So,
another. Yes,
for a complete beginner with these uh, maps, maybe someone is trying to implement a map feature into their apps. So these plugins, should I call it as a plugin?
uh,
Firstly,
the, the ones that we
perfect.
talked about, Google Maps, Flutter, and Flutter Map, they are plugins. But Mapbox is a provider. OpenStreetMaps is a provider. Google Maps is a provider. So some of them have the same name, both for the plugin and as the map tile provider.
Okay, so both Flutter Map and Google Map are different plugins, and uh, for running they have some providers. Is that correct? For Google Maps, it's probably Google Maps.
Exactly. You cannot choose it. It comes out of the box. Yeah.
But for Flutter Map, you can use Flutter Map I mean Google Map as well.
Exactly.
But you can also choose something like Mapbox and maybe any other provider.
Exactly. OpenStreetMaps or anything that you can think of.
Maybe
And
some of them are free, some of them are costing money.
exactly. And now I will show you one that I just discovered. And it is Stadia Maps. When looking at the pricing, it's free for 200,000 credits per month. So for our tutorial purposes, it's going to be good. And they have some map styles out of the box, which are really good. Let's look at them. So they have these, some of these are free, some of these are not. So for instance, this one is free, this one is free, this one is not. This toner one, I like it a lot. It's free, and we will demonstrate this one. And the watercolor one, it's very interesting and it's free. And when we go to get started with watercolor, we will see how we can use it. But before that, let's first implement Flutter Maps in our app. Okay. So let's get this. Okay.
I forced iTunes today to install Cursor to his
Yeah,
Mac. So, like, forgive us if like something in his setup is not ready.
exactly. Let's see how it goes. So under map, we are going to create a new Dart file called,
Aytunç, have you changed your scene? Okay.
actually, you know what? I haven't. I can. Thank you very much. Yeah. So Flutter Map. I don't need cursor when you are here. Okay. So let's create a stateless widget. Perfect. Map page. It's good. I don't want these. And let's go. Block body. Oops. I think this was the whole file. Give me a second. I just took it from. Yeah, actually, you know what? This.
So I'm looking at the folder structure. Under the presentation layer, you created a new folder called map, which represents the feature. And under the map, you have the map page.dart.
Exactly. But before we
So
do
we
anything, we need to
Ah.
first
add
import.
the depend.
And let's do pubget. And now, perfect. And this was the code snippet that I copy pasted from the documentation site. So let's get rid of the rich attribution widget.
Yeah.
We don't need that. And let's see what we get just from the example project. Just run it. Okay, while running it, let me check if I'm showing the correct thing. Yes.
Do we have to specify the user agent package name? com.example.app. I think this is the name of our package, right?
Yes, but for debugging purposes, I don't think it will be necessary.
Okay.
My microphone just stopped. Unfortunately, the magnet is inside my t-shirt right now, so I'm just. Okay, now we don't see anything. And do you know the reason? Because we don't have a scaffold. And also we don't show this map page in our app widget. We just have a container. So let's get it from here. Import it. Yeah. I think we will need the scaffold also. Okay, it seems we don't, but still it's nice to give it. Okay, let's change this to body. And for the app bar, let's give it a app bar with a title of, I don't know, Flutter Map. I think it needs to be a text widget. Okay. So we have the default
was quick.
OpenStreetMaps. Exactly. It's just this quick. We talked too much, but it was just maybe 1 minute to get Flutter Map working. So by default, it's on London. Now, let's go to, and I can please remind me again if I don't open the coding window. Now
Yeah.
we are on the browser. And let's go to watercolor. And in the watercolor, it's this URL, z, x, and y are where we are showing in the map. So let's go to the code. Instead of this
So these are the
show item,
coordinates, or what are they?
basically, yes, they are the coordinates. Perfect. But it will not work because oops, I forgot to go to the page because we need to,
Are you changing the scene while you are going back and forth?
yeah, I haven't done that. I haven't done that, but I didn't do anything important. So we need to sign up with a free account and we need to get an API key. After we get the API key, then now I'm going back to the code. Okay. Give me a second. Now we can give the API key. I'm not going to show the API key. You can just go get your API key and import it from a file which is in gitignore. Now, let's save it and see what happens. As you can see, the map just changed immediately. And let me try to zoom out. It's going to be, we are still looking at Great Britain, but the map is totally different. Sorry. This is what we see. And I rotated it a little bit, unfortunately. So next up, let's try to disable the rotation because we don't want users to rotate the map when they are pinch and zooming. So let me find the code for that. We can give some map options. Just like we are giving the initial center and initial zoom, we can give a property called interaction options. So I will just paste it here under map options and uncomment this. And now we cannot rotate the map anymore. But because it's rotated, I will just rerun that. Okay, and this initial zoom is really bad. So let's look at something like, if I can. And of course, we need to reload it. Okay. Now, even if I try to pinch and zoom, even if I
Just a
change
comment.
rotation, yeah.
Okay, I think it was something wrong with my setup. Okay, no problem. You can continue.
Okay. So now we have the map working with a very nice theming, and the user cannot rotate it. But I see a problem. When you go to the edges of the map, you see these gray areas, especially on the top and bottom of the world map. So we will get rid of these by giving a bounding box. And it's very easy in Flutter Map. You just need to constrain the camera. Give me a second.
Let's give this as well, then wrap this video, I think.
Let me rerun that. Okay, now let's try to go all the way up. And I'm stuck here. So let me zoom out. And now there's no more gray areas. Before we wrap it up, I just want to show one more thing, Erkan. That other map style that I talked about very quickly. So I'm going back to browser and finding the link for the other map. This one. It's named Toner, and the only difference in the name is stamen toner. So let's take that Now I'm going to change the code. And instead of statement watercolor, we will just name it this one and save it. And you will see the whole map changed from that colorful watercolors to black and white. It's this easy.
That
And I
looks
think we
amazing.
should wrap it up.
All right, this was a great tutorial. I know there are not many tutorials for Flutter Map. I think for a starter, this was a great beginning video. And in the upcoming episodes of this series, I think we will implement more advanced stuff with Flutter Maps.
Yeah. We will use custom widgets as markers. So to represent our own location, we will use a different marker and we will animate it. So it can be like smaller and bigger. It can have a radius like a radar on around it. And also we can have other markers in that. And we can use clustering, animated clustering. And I think every map app should have these kind of features. So we will talk about them. Our viewers, if you have any suggestions, please write them down and we will cover those topics.
Perfect. The topic sounds very exciting. Please like and subscribe to the channel and see you in the upcoming videos. Bye.
Bye-bye.